Hey, y'all. Hey, welcome to the PowerWomen podcast. This is the show where powerful women share their journeys, discuss how to solve powerful issues, and empower men who help us rise. I'm your host, Power Mom, Claire Brown.
Today's PowerWomen podcast is proudly sponsored by Cupid's Lingerie, Arkansas's premier lingerie and gift store. Love is in the air, y'all. Cupid's has everything you need, lingerie and much more. They have 6 central Arkansas locations, and you can shop online. Visit shopcupids.com and make your next date night the best one yet. Cupid's. Enjoy. Hey, y'all. Hey, welcome back to the PowerWomen podcast. Today, I'm so excited because today we have Shameka Christon here. Welcome, Shameka.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. And so tell everybody, who's Shameka Christon and what does she do?
Oh, okay. Well, I am a social worker and a coordinator of Bright Futures. It is a program in Benton School District in which, we basically meet and service the needs of students that are in a vulnerable population. Right. We all know it's very difficult to learn whenever maybe you didn't have food last night, so you're hungry. So it's hard to sit in a classroom and learn. Yeah. So whatever those needs are, and I've seen a lot of different needs, we try to get those met within 24 to 48 hours. And basically, Bright Futures is a community entity and organization that, we kind of bridge the gap between the school and the community.
Yep. Which is amazing. I love it. So there's nothing more that I love than heart servant leadership and giving back.
Oh, it's so rewarding. It's probably by far the most rewarding work that I've done. And I've had a pretty successful, career before, doing what I'm doing now. Yeah. But this is by far the most rewarding and most fun.
So tell us a little bit about what you did do before.
Okay.
Which is so exciting as well.
I am retired from the WNBA. Mm-hmm. I played professional basketball for 15 years. Mm-hmm. I'm originally from Hot Springs, Arkansas. I graduated at Hot Springs. I don't want to date myself, but you can probably Google it anyway. But I graduated high school in 2000. And from there, I went to the University of Arkansas, played basketball there for 4 years for the Lady Razorbacks. And then in 2004, I was drafted to the WNBA first round 5th pick to New York Liberty. I played in New York for 6 years. Was an all-star, got invited to play in the Olympic team. However, I got injured at the last cut. And so I tore my knee, and so I was out for a year. But I did go back to play for like another 5 years, and then I finally retired.
That's amazing. Like, so amazing.
Thank you.
I mean, I can only imagine that we could just sit here for hours probably listening to stories and the connections and the experiences you've had just in that one lifetime.
Oh, yes, definitely. The good thing I will say for sure, and I mean, there's a lot of good to it.
Sure.
I got to travel the world because it's not like the NBA. We don't get paid what the NBA gets paid, but we're also a much younger league as well. But I got to travel to different countries, experience different cultures, many different people. It kind of really opened my eyes because I was just a small town girl from Hot Springs, Arkansas. But I got to, travel around. My favorite place by far was Spain.
Really?
And another favorite place, only because of my house, was France. I was in the south of France, so the backyard was the beach. And so I absolutely loved that part of it. The people probably were not as nice as I would prefer, but, Spain by far. If I was not living in the U.S., I'll live in Spain.
Yeah. I take my children on an annual Mother's Day trip and an annual Christmas trip. We don't do gifts anymore. We do trips because I firmly feel that, that's exposure, and exposure is part of education. And so they learn so much from those trips. Right. And then I get to learn so much just through their eyes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the beauty of it is that, they'll get to experience the different people. So that way, whenever they go just back to school, they'll be able to accept different kids. Because there's so much bullying now. But it's just a lot of it, probably, I would say, a majority of it is just the fact they don't understand another kid's background. But whenever they get the exposure like you're doing with your kid, they're going to understand and have a little bit more empathy towards other kids.
Yeah, it's a goal. Yes. It is, definitely. Yes. So you came back to Arkansas after that whirlwind journey.
Yes.
Yeah, and then you got involved with education.
Correct. Okay. Correct. So actually, I got pregnant with my now 3-year-old, and I was living in New York, and my mom was like, you're having a baby and you're too far away and I can't see my grandkids. So you need to come back home. And so whenever I moved back, she was living in Benton, Arkansas. So at that point in time, I said, you know what, I'm just going to enjoy, motherhood again. And just, because the babies are they're very, they're not self-sufficient. Like my older kids at this point, they're self-sufficient. But I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to enjoy being a mom. And then I went back to work on my master's. And then at that time, my brother, who is actually like the dean of students at the alternative school in Benton, and he was like, Meek, do you want to work? I said, do you want me to? Do I really need to? And he said, yeah, we're short on teachers. So can you please come be our high school facilitator? So I was like, okay, fine, I guess. So I got back in the classroom and I enjoyed it. I kind of missed it a little bit, but at the same time, I was like, all right, I'm nervous because you got to put the babies back in daycare now. And at this time, COVID had just started. So, but it was enough to get me to stay. And then at that time, the superintendent for Ben was like, what are you doing here? And I was like, working, I guess. And he was like, no, how long have you been here? I said, I've been here about 3 years. And he's like, and no one knew that you were in Benton, Arkansas. And I was like, I don't go broadcasting like, hey, tell the world I'm here. Like, that's not me. I'm very humble. And he was like, well, would you like a job? And I said, well, do you have anything to where I'm servicing, families and students? Like my background is in social work. I really, really love, I have a serving heart. I love servicing those that are in need. And he was like, no. But then like a month later, he came back and he's like, we got a position. And I was like, okay. So I went and applied, and probably the hardest interview process ever. I've never did like a round robin kind of interview process, but
that's something coming from the NBA draft. But
yes,
keep
exactly.
going. Yeah.
So, well, I mean, think about it with basketball, you're able to build your resume and show what you can do by your talent and skill that you see on the court. Here, I literally have to sit in like 3 minutes and explain why I'm the best candidate for this job.
Right.
So it was nerve-wracking. But I ended up getting the job. Last year was the first year for the program. It was absolutely amazing, time-consuming. But, we had delivered like 22 beds to kids that did not have a bed. And that's difficult within itself because a lot of parents are very shy, or they don't, want to know how to ask, or they just think people don't want to help. And then they're worried about, getting in trouble with the state. And I was like, no, I'm trying to help you before you get in trouble with the state, because if the state finds out you don't have beds, they're coming in and they're going to take your kids. So I said, let's just get those resources that you need. But we delivered a lot of furniture, food boxes, about 50 food boxes every week.
Wow.
To families that are food insecure. We clothes, you name it. I mean, utility, rent, you name it. Like we've done it all. And it was, at that point, it was just me steering this ship or just flying the plane while I was learning how to fly the plane.
Right.
So, but very rewarding. I will say that.
Yeah. And so, you tell that so fluidly, because obviously you're used to telling that story, which I love. But so tell us, this is titled Bright Futures.
Correct.
Okay. And now, what is Bright Futures?
It's basic. We're Bright Futures Benton Connections for Success, and the founder is Dr. C.J. Huff, and he saw a need. He was actually in Joplin, Missouri, and he implemented this framework for that community there. And it just so happened, literally, I want to say maybe like the next week, they got hit by that big tornado.
Yeah.
So it kind of put everything into overdrive. But he's just like, hey, it's proven that how can kids learn effectively and be successful? How can they socially be successful if they don't have their basic needs met?
Right.
And so he was like, and there's already so many different organizations and people within a community that are already providing these services, but they don't know how to get to the kids.
Yeah.
And so that's where he said, okay, we're just going to come with Bright Futures. And it's a community initiative, but it's going to bridge that gap between the school as well as the community.
Okay.
So everyone that is already doing those services, like we don't reinvent the wheel. We do not. We literally lean on those communities. So that is basically our first tier of how we get the needs met. So we partner with faith-based organizations, which is like the sleeping giant. Like those congregations are very large, and they're always giving and wanting to help. So we make sure we partner with faith-based organizations. We partner with Human Services Department.
Yep.
small businesses, big businesses, just to get these needs met. And normally we get them met fairly quickly. So like I said, that first tier is like, I'll go and utilize the organizations that are already doing this work. And if I can't get the need met then I put it on social media, which is our second tier. And normally I would get it met right then and there with social media. Once I put it out and I just tell the story. Like, for example, we had a kid the very last day of school last year who had shoes and there was a hole in his shoe. And he kept stuffing paper towel into his shoe. And no one knew exactly what was going on, but they finally saw it. So we had to hurry up and go and get him some shoes, which literally got it met. As soon as I put the story out there, it was met within like 2 minutes. So someone donated some shoes and we got it to the kid. And we also got him a bunch of other clothes as well. So
we're going to be right back with how the kids come to you and how that whole process works right after this. Today's PowerWomen podcast is proudly sponsored by Cupid's Lingerie, Arkansas's premier lingerie and gift store. Love is in the air, y'all. Cupid's has everything you need, lingerie and much more. They have 6 central Arkansas locations, and you can shop online. Visit shopcupids.com and make your next date night the best one yet. Cupid's. Enjoy. So, you take these needs, you put them out into the community, they're met. But as you've mentioned, a lot of times these parents and families, they're very fearful of being turned in to DHS, losing their children, things like that. And that's been where the gap is. Mm-hmm. And so how do you reach these children or these families? How do they do that to make sure that you get the need met before the family gets into a troubled spot so that they have all their resources that they need? How do you help them know that this is a safe space?
Mm-hmm. Honestly, that's probably one of the most challenging parts of my job. One, because as a parent, they try to do what they can, knowing they're like, some way, something's going to happen. Yeah. So a lot of times whenever I get these needs, it is too late. There's been plenty of times they'll call and say, my bill is due at 4:00 or I'm getting shut off. Yeah. And I'm like, oh my gosh, and it's just more of a thing of like their pride. It's hard to ask for help. And I get it. And I'm very empathetic. I don't judge. I don't care how you got in a situation that you're in. I don't, my thing is, it's like, what's the solution? How can we help? And so I try to focus more on the solution. And I said, hey, it's okay. I said, I have been through a tough time as well, so I completely understand and I empathize, and it's okay. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times we forget that, don't look at it as like, I'm getting a hand down or a handout. It's a hand up. I'm giving you a hand up out of your situation.
Absolutely.
And there are plenty of people within the community that, feel the same way and are willing and ready to help any way they can. It's just more or less, I guess, for, like I said, the challenging part is that parent, like actually, being able to have a voice to say, I need help. Yeah. I'm struggling.
Yeah. So. Yeah. And so do the children within the your office, is it at the school? Is it on campus somewhere? Or how does this work?
I'm actually at the administration office. And it was funny because whenever I got hired for this position, they were not sure where they were going to place me. And they were like, okay, this is all new. It was new for everyone.
Right.
And the biggest thing is like, okay, listen, I'm a team player. Wherever you need me to be, that's where I'll be. I did not want to be particularly on one campus though.
Right.
And the reason being is I felt like I would have to like cater more to that one campus whenever I have a total of 8 campuses that I have to service. So I felt like, let me just stay neutral. Yeah. And then that way, if my counselors, if they need anything, or the teachers or whoever, hey, I'm just a phone call away, an email away, and I will be there within, 20 to 30 minutes at max, unless I'm like in a meeting or anything like something like that. So I am stationed at like our central office with the rest of the administrators or the administration building.
Right. And so how is the program made aware to students, to parents? How does the word get out? How does someone contact you? Is there a Dropbox? Is there an anonymous? How does this work? How do they do this?
Okay. So there's kind of like 2 parts to that question. Okay. So the first thing is like, I utilize, like, I feel like I am the 6th man for my counselors. and I'm using that in sports term because I have a sports background.
Yeah.
So I'm the one that comes off the bench to help them out. Now,
Right.
our counselors do a phenomenal job. They, have even their little stash of stuff to where they can get it quickly. And if they don't have it, then they'll reach out to me. And I prefer to go through them or even the teachers because they're the ones that see these students every day.
Right.
I do not.
Yeah.
Now, I do get a lot of requests. We have a Facebook page. It's Bright Futures Benton. So I get a lot of requests from there as well. But at the same time, I'm like, okay, this could be anybody. And I want to help and I can help you. But I just got to know that you are with our school district.
Sure.
So if the request comes through social media, then I'll reach out to the counselor. Be like, hey, is this your student? This is, the need that they have. I would like to fulfill it. Is it okay? And then they'll let me know, yes, this is a student. Or like I said, the counselors off the top, like before I came here, I had to go get a size 9 pair of men's shoes for a student. So they will reach out to me and they'll say, hey, Shameka, do you have this or can you get this? And I'm like, yeah, of course. Why not? I have no problem with asking anybody for anything, especially if it's to meet the need of a student. So,
Absolutely.
And a lot of times, like I said, they'll either call me or they'll email me. And then as far as getting the word out, I try to attend as many community events as possible. It gets a little bit challenging though, because I am a single mother of 4 and then I have a very demanding job.
Yeah.
So
I can't relate to that at all. Not at all.
So, I try to do the best that I can, but I'm just a phone call or email away.
Yeah. And so I know that, I'm sure that there is a huge need. And we've obviously established that there are huge needs, and you probably have a list of things that you want to accomplish throughout the year and do things. And then I'm certain that there are people that are always wanting to give. And so if someone wanted to give, to donate their time, their resources, money, or whatever, or they wanted to be one of those people that you just contact whenever you need something, what would they need to be doing?
Okay. Simply, they can just give me a call. I have no problem. I'll give out my work cell phone number, and that number is 501-326-3276, or email me, schristian@bensonschools.org. And then if I've got people that will actually mail in donations. They just send it to central office, and that is at 207 West Conway, Benton, Arkansas, 72015. So, or you can just find me on Facebook,
right?
And I'll respond back as soon as I can.
Yeah.
But we are always looking for people with time, talent, and treasure.
Sure.
Right now, I'm in the process. I really need to I need to get more partnerships to say I actually need an accountant. And so, unfortunately, we wouldn't be able to pay a lot. If any, I would have to fundraise for that.
Right.
And we don't have a lot of accounting or bookkeeping or anything like that. But at the same time, if we decide to become our own nonprofit, because right now we're just a charter up under Bright Futures USA.
Okay.
There would be some things that I would need help then,
Sure.
So it's just just think if we're not really providing some type of human services or anything like that,
Right.
we still want to partner with you. There are certain things, and I have some legal, assistance. I'll just, hey, can I pick your ear? What should I do with this family? How can we help?
Right.
Anything like that with lawyers. So, and some of them like to stay anonymous, and that's fine. If I see you out,
Right.
I'm like, who is that? I don't know. Who
Right,
is that?
right.
So
it doesn't necessarily have to be monetary. It could be your talents and your gifts that can be contributed.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And so I know earlier you rattled off some stats of things that you did last year. And so recap some of those. You gave away beds and mattresses last year.
Yes.
So everything that y'all gave away last year, and it's just been you. It's just been a one-man operation, which is amazing. That also shows your ability to attract volunteerism, which I love. So
yes. Well, we actually towards I want to say middle or the end of the year, we got some amazing volunteers that really wanted to handle the clothing closet and our little mini food pantry on campus. And they are absolutely phenomenal. So I'm glad they kind of took that off of my plate because we got a lot of donations as far as clothing.
Yeah.
And they'll come in, they'll just schedule a work day and say, hey, we're going to go sort. Or one way that we were able to get the word out about Bright Futures, because even the students didn't know that they had this resource right there on the school campus for them. We decided towards the end of the last 2 weeks of school, hey, let's give all the kids that need it 3 to 5 outfits
Right.
per, and then like 2 pairs of shoes, socks, underwear, so they'll have something for the summer. And we serviced over 100 kids. And
Wow.
then they came in, they were like, we can shop, everything's free. It was like, yes, like just take it. If you need it, just no. And I mean, those kids now, they're like, hey, can we go to the Bright Futures closet? Can we do this? Can we do that?
Yeah.
So yeah, those are like one way that we get it out. And some of the things that we provide. Now, like I said, we did the beds. And I really think that there are more people that need beds, need furniture. A lot of families that experience homelessness, once they get out of their situation and they get a home, we will literally go furnish the whole house, just to make sure. That's just one less thing they have to, worry about.
Exactly.
So, and we partner with furniture companies, or we'll put on Facebook, hey, does anybody have a couch that's in good condition? I will come pick it up, and things like that. So we've done that. And then we have like the utility and the rent. Now that our churches have kind of went away from that, and I completely understand, because it's just so expensive to be able to do that. So we would like to actually take care of everything else, and then the parents can save whatever money they have towards utility bills and rent. But if that's not the case, we only pay up to $150 towards one or the other, and we cannot provide that assistance for a full year. And sometimes that's really not a lot. It's not. But we're like, okay, hopefully it'll take some stress, some pressure off of you to, help you in that sense.
Sure.
But at the same time, we can't do it for the same family every month. So you literally have to wait 12 months before we can, provide that assistance again.
I get that. It's such a huge need. I mean, thinking back, I know students that I went to school with that I can think of that probably would have really benefited from a program like this, that I would have, even as their peer, would have happily helped, even anonymously. I'm sure that there are students that would happily help.
Oh, yes. We had one student that actually she started as her East project. She hosted the first clothing drive that we have for winter clothes. And it was a great turnout. That was our very first one.
Yeah.
But that student realized that there was a need. It was during the winter. There was kids still wearing T-shirts and flip-flops. And so she was just like, we need warm clothes.
That's right.
If you have some. So the kids donated whatever clothes.
That's
they went to their
amazing.
closet, donated it, and then, we got those kids some warmer clothes.
That's awesome. I love it. Thank you so much for serving with your heart and using all of your gifts and all of your influence to help so many. I can't express my gratitude for it enough.
It is my pleasure. I absolutely love it.
I just hope that this reaches one person that it benefits that can help you again.
I hope so.
So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening. If you like the show, please rate and review on iTunes. And check out our website, thepowerwomen.org.